Good evening, everyone. This meeting is officially called to order tonight, 2022. It is currently 6:21 in the p.m. Let's start off with a roll call of the Board of Directors.
Director Greg Young.
Here.
Director Angela Garcia. Here. Director Kelvin Moore.
Here.
Vice President Dr. Michael Taylor.
Present.
President Channing Hawkins.
Present. Okay, let's go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Garcia, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on. Pastor David Gaunt from Sunrise Church. Pastor Gaunt, I think I see you right there on the line. Hello, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you all very much. It's my privilege. Thank you for serving the community. Let's go ahead and turn our hearts to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for just being a free people. Lord, we thank you for the fact that you have entrusted us with the stewardship of so many things. And I just pray for each person tonight that you would give them strength, wisdom, endurance, health. And Lord, we pray for a heart of compassion as we consider those that we represent. And Father God, I just pray that you would continue to bless this community. And we thank you for the gift of water. We thank you for the gift of resources. And Lord, help these people tonight to be good stewards of all these things. Give them an understanding and ability to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And Father, again, we just thank you for entrusting them with this and the power and strength to do it. In Jesus' precious name we pray. And all God's people said,
Amen. All
Amen.
right. Okay, we already did the roll call and the call to order. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll s-
Okay, Director Garcia, beat you, Mike. All right.
That's okay.
Okay, Secretary Mason, call for the vote.
Director Greg Young.
Yes.
Director Angela Garcia.
Yes.
Director Kelvin Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Michael Taylor.
Yes.
President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay. All right, next up, public participation. Secretary Mason,
Under the State of California Brown Act, the Board of Directors is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the posted agenda. Comments related to notice public hearings and business matters will be heard during the occurrence of the item. In an effort to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order N-2920 and the Order of the County of San Bernardino dated March 17, 2020, there will be no public location for attending this board meeting in person. Members of the public may listen and provide public comment via telephone by calling the following number and access code. Dial 888-475-4499, access code 840-293-7790, or you may join the meeting using Zoom. Public comment may also be submitted via email to the board secretary, Peggy Ashe, at peggy@wvwd.org. If you require additional assistance, please contact Peggy at wvwd.org.
all right, Secretary Ashe, do we have any emails that were sent in?
No public participation via email or call.
Okay, online, do we have anyone who would like to participate?
This is June.
Hi, June.
Hi, I have an announcement.
Yes.
On your calendar, you have on May 3rd. Most of us are going to be at Aqua. I'm sure most of you will be at Aqua too, so that meeting is canceled. If you would correct that on your calendar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public participation? Okay. Going twice, going 3 times is the end of public participation. Next up is the consent calendar.
Mr. President, I'll move the consent calendar for consideration.
All right.
I'll second that.
It'll be seconded. All right. No further discussion. Secretary Ashe, call for the vote.
Director Greg Young,
Yes.
Director Angela Garcia,
Yes.
Director Kelvin Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay, moving on to business matters. First up, Executive Recruitment Services, Chief Financial Officer. Item number 10.
Mr. President, members of the board, good evening. A very, very short presentation regarding, as you said, the executive recruitment services for our CFO position. This financial officer position is currently vacant here at West Valley. And to state the obvious about this position, it's a very high-ranking position, a very important position here at the district. That person will oversee a staff of 22 people across 4 different departments: purchasing, billing, accounting, and customer service. To help us find our next CFO, staff did issue RFP last month to try to bring on a firm again to help us, professional recruiting firm to help us find our next CFO. The RFP went out to over 10 different consultants, and the due date for the proposals was April 11th. In response to the RFP, we received 6 proposals. You'll see on the screen the 6 different firms that submitted proposals. We represented to both the HR committee and also the executive committee that this evening staff would present the top 3 proposals. In evaluating the proposals, it was very, very competitive. So it was difficult just to narrow it down to just 3. So we thought it might be appropriate with a little bit of leeway to present top 4 versus top 3. The top 4 are the ones you see with the green stars. And in your board packet tonight, on page 156, you'll see staff's evaluations, not just of the 4, but of all 6. So that's in your, again, your board packet on page 156. For the 4 proposals we're presenting to the board tonight, the first of 4 proposals starts on page 157 of your board packet. So again, these are the top 4 proposals we received and what we're presenting to the board this evening. Here is my last slide. Staff's recommendation is potentially you might want to consider awarding a professional services agreement to one of these firms to assist the district in finding its next CFO. Also want to mention to the board that this recruitment is actually not budgeted in our current budget, so it'll likely require a year-end transfer. Just want you to be aware of that. But with that, to be happy to answer any questions or take any direction that the board might have.
Okay. All right. I see here on your analysis, on page 156, you have 5 sets of criteria. 1 is qualifications and experience. 2 is assigned project managers. 3, reference checks. 4, reasonableness of price, and providing 1-year guarantee.
That's correct.
And each of those categories, just so everybody, we're all looking at the apples and the oranges and the bananas and the pears all at once. Under category 1, qualifications and experience, all of the recommended firms in red all have what the staff would consider excellent qualifications, correct? Yes. All right, so that's all the same. Assigned project management, in that, based on staff's recommendation, only 1 firm has below an excellent. That's Bob Hall. Reference checks. There's 2 firms that fall into very solid. 2 firms that fall into excellent. Okay.
Then we have 3, reasonableness in cost. There is one firm that is the best, has the most reasonable cost according to staff, and then the others are roughly the same, or roughly higher than who staff sees as the not highest. And then there's providing 1-year guarantee, and they all do that. So everybody sees that.
Yes.
All right. It's fairly objective. It makes sense. Anybody have any questions about staff's rating criteria?
I just have a question for Van. So Coffin Associates, so they are just a flat fee. They don't require plus expenses.
That's
Am I
correct.
reading that correctly?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah. And so, but of these firms who are recently in the agency, Mr. Mambahar, which ones have we worked with recently?
Most recently, for our AGM recruitment, we used the Hawkins Company.
Okay. And then, but I've heard of Bob Hall and Associates. I've heard of CPS. I haven't heard of, I'm not as familiar with Coffin Associates.
They've actually done quite a bit of work in the area with County of San Bernardino and Riverside, it looks like,
Okay.
according to their packet in here.
Okay.
And certainly with the flat rate, I kind of like that.
I do have a question with that. Is there a limit to what expenses they can charge on top of the 25,000?
I think Bob Hall limits themselves, but the other 3, well, actually, other 2 in red don't. So it depends on how active we ask them to be, and their expenses can be a little bit more if they're more active.
Yeah.
What are the typical expenses associated that were not included in the RFP?
I'm going to ask Hayley to help me answer that question, if that's okay.
Typically, it's the potential cost of candidates that are located outside of the state, because this might be a nationwide search. So the expenses of travel and board may be part of that. And then just expenses that are not expected, but we actually, before they get into any type of additional work, they collaborate with the district, and then we give direction whether or not that's what we want from them or not, based on what the board directive is.
So we still need to approve any additional expenses if they are incurred.
That is correct.
Yeah. Or I don't know if we individually would approve them, but the management team would, would have those conversations with them. We wouldn't be in those individualized conversations.
Yeah, they would just keep the board informed
Yeah.
of the cost.
I can add some context to this as well. I wasn't included in this, but based on my experience, what I've done in the past is, if the board gives us direction to move with one firm, is before we sign any agreement, is to say, okay, your plus expenses is capped at $5,000, and that's it. So
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, like I'm very impressed by Coffin Associates. They've done a lot of work in the area. Again, not only the county of San Bernardino and Riverside, but also the cities. They also work with the city of Colton, San Bernardino, Redlands. So they have a lot of experience in the area, which I think is probably more important than ever, given the current hiring environment we're all facing. So I think having someone who's had experience. I was here. I know we have a few new board members when we had Hawkins Group, and I think they did a fine job, but I'm kind of one who prefers to kind of spread it around, though, too. So I think given that the proposal got solid scores and has a flat rate, I think Coffin Associates makes the most sense to me, but would be interested in other people's thoughts.
You know, I was very impressed with the Hawkins group when they did our last recruitment. I like to go on time-tested companies that have shown to prove their value. So I'm inclined to go with the Hawkins group. And by the way, that's no relation to Channing, just so everybody knows.
Just so everybody's clear. but I do understand. Any other comments in that regard? I do understand what you're saying, Mike, because the last time they did do a search, I did feel they got a good sense of the direction we wanted to go, and we ended up with a very qualified and capable candidate.
Right. And they've got, I mean, if you look at their resume they submitted, they've got a lot of cities and they're well, a lot of experience in different areas and in different states too. So,
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the recruitment and how they were scored or graded.
Yes.
So the Hawkins company got 2 stars for reference check. So what are they limiting of what they're gonna do to only have received 2 stars?
Yeah, so one thing I really appreciate about the HR community in the public sector is a very tight-knit community. So a lot of HR managers and various public agencies will share information with one another. They'll also share information about HR consultants and how well they perform. Don't get me wrong, getting 2 stars is still very, very solid, but we can't give everyone the same score. Otherwise, we wouldn't be really evaluating them. So the Hawkins group is very solid, but I think in the HR community, it seems like there's a lot of praise for COF and CPS as well. But again, I think those other firms are very solid as well, from what I understand.
My only concern that I have with the Coffin Associates is that by them not adding additional expenses, maybe they're not going to recruit like out of state, and they don't want to incur more expenses, so they want to limit their search to internal or just regional that stay here in California. That's just my only hesitation, not knowing anything about any of the 2 groups.
I like Coffin Associates. I like Hawkins too. Only thing was, price-wise, Coffin has the best deal. However, you know, there could be a reason for that too, the low ball to get in. But on paper and on the results, it looks good. I mean, I can't argue that. So, and they have a pretty impressive resume too.
And Van, when the committee or whoever met with each of these consultants, was there discussions as far as their methodology of how they were going to do the recruitment? Were things like recruiting out of state discussed?
Yeah, when we met with the executive committee, we hadn't received the proposals yet.
Okay.
When we met with the HR committee, we received the proposals literally 1 hour before the committee meeting. So we didn't have much of a chance to discuss the proposals with either committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
But has staff had the opportunity to speak to them about it, or?
I think staff have reviewed the proposals, primarily, well, not just primarily, but only Haiti and I have been reviewing the proposals. So what you see here are Haiti and I, ours collective scoring of the 6 proposals.
But no discussion about what their methodology or approaches would be as far as the recruitments? At this point, anyways?
In reading the proposals, it's
pretty generic.
Yeah, it feels that way, but
Okay.
yeah.
So there's no one way to tell yes or no on some of that stuff at
So
this point.
on that note,
Yeah.
is there a way where we can interview the 2 top candidates so that we feel more comfortable with choosing one instead of just looking at it on paper?
Most certainly, if the board wants to do that, we can do that. And to be even
It's
more
just-
candid about these proposals, I think of the top 5, even though we're only recommending 4, any of the 5 I think would be just fine. Quite frankly, they're all top notch, but we only have 1 proposal. We couldn't give everyone the exact same rating for every single category, so yeah. But certainly we can do what you suggest, Director Garcia, if that's the board's desire.
Is that?
I mean, I'm open to the idea. My only concern is just delaying this recruitment any further. But I mean, if the board would like to invite a couple of the firms back, I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, I want to allow for the board to have, you know, the deliberation that it desires. I think we do have some qualified firms here. Obviously, you know, we, as an agency, we're familiar with the Hawkins Company and what they can do and what they've done here. But, you know, it really, if the board feels it's would be useful and constructive to kind of narrow down to the final two and have some level of discourse about it, that's an option available too. So, you know, you can have time and ask your individualized questions. I mean, I don't, it's up to the team.
By going through this route,
We can have a special meeting too, just to deal with it if you want to.
yeah, and that's, I wanted to ask, what was the delay? I mean, I don't want to delay something significantly by proposing this.
Well,
It was, no, that's it.
Yeah, we can have a special meeting next week just to deal with this one item and ask them to come if you so choose to do that, or
I mean, that's preferable than to kicking it to the next regular board meeting next month.
yep.
I agree.
Okay.
So you guys want to kick this can down the road more? Is that what we're saying?
We're having a discussion. And
I know. I mean, I'm just saying I'm perfectly comfortable with going with the Hawkins Group as we did before. Besides that, they already know this water district and the board, and they're familiar with our needs. They did an extensive search on the last time when we were looking for somebody, and the criteria that they brought to the board and the methodology that and the way it was done for us to make our decision and our votes as to who we were going to pick. I thought they were extremely professional and obviously totally thorough in what they did. And so we ended up getting Van Jew, and he's turned out to be a great guy. So I don't have any qualms about supporting the Hawkins Group. I would make the motion that we go ahead and move on this tonight, and that I would, my motion is to support the Hawkins Company for the search.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, Secretary Mesa, call for the vote.
Director Greg Young,
Abstain.
Director Angela Garcia,
Yes.
Director Kelvin Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Michael Taylor,
Yes.
President Channing Hawkins.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I guess we have made our decision. We are moving forward. Here we go. Please
Yay.
let the appropriate firm, let the firm know. And I guess, you and Robert and others will deal with the finalization of the contract. So
Will do. Thank you.
moving on to the next item. Uh-oh. What did I do with my agenda? Uh-oh. Oh, I did something. Hold on. Next item on the agenda is
Strategic planning
the
update.
strategic plan update.
Thank you, sir. The board requested that we have our facilitator present a roadmap to the next, to completion of the strategic plan. As you're aware, we halted because two vacant seats on the board. Now they're completely filled, and we have Greg Larson, who conducted the first phase of the plan, here to discuss the remainder and the roadmap through the end of the strategic planning process. Greg Larson, good seeing you. Take it away.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Chair, members of the board, it's great to be with you here this evening, at least remotely, and I hope to meet with you directly in the future. What I'd like to do is, since I know a variety of experiences with strategic planning is just to do a very quick 101 so everybody's using kind of the same language and understanding, because I have some key questions for the board towards the end of the presentation, and I believe you'll have some questions for me as well. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, John.
Okay, thank you. And this is just a very simple presentation to, again, get a common understanding about strategic planning. And this is also so the public can review it as well. So the purpose of strategic planning, let's start at the highest level. Really has a few purposes. One, it strengthens the leadership team just by doing the work together. In particular, city councils and boards of directors get a common understanding of where they're in alignment to move the agency forward. But it's also great for your staff team to see the nuances and the focus of the board's discussion and direction. So it's even broader than the elected officials. I think it makes staff stronger in following the elected officials' direction. Second, fundamental purpose is to set long-term goals that have to be achieved over a 5 to 10 year period, and that requires discipline to keep moving the needle forward on each of those goals. To achieve those goals, the board will identify key strategies that usually are in a slightly shorter time frame. They're somewhere in the 2 to 5 year range, multiple strategies to move ahead towards the achievement of each goal. And then just as fiscal reality hits and other operating needs and crises of the day, every year the board would set the clear priorities of, we know we want to achieve all these goals. These are the strategies to get them, but these are the priorities we're going to focus on for the next year or two. And when a board has that level of discussion, and to the extent possible, as we'll discuss later, consensus, I've just seen in agency after agency, your staff is able to run further and faster with that common alignment and direction, clear direction from the board. And that's what it's about in government. How do we maximize bang for the buck? And it takes having a clear direction and process forward. So with that understanding of the purpose of the strategic plan, and some of these words probably have buried in some of the strategic plans you've worked with in your professional life or with other nonprofit or governmental organizations. But this is a pretty common approach at the language. First, your mission statement. What is the function of the district? What's your core services? It's much easier for a single purpose district like West Valley than it is for, counties in particular, and even some large cities where they have so many divergent duties. The values are how the organization does its work and what are the values they bring to work every day. Transparency has certainly been a hallmark of this district for the last few years. Fiscal responsibility has been a calling card of this district. So what are those values that your employees and the board embody every day when they come to work? Then we start getting to the futuring process. What's the vision? What does the board, how would the board encapsulate the vision for the district 5, 10 years from now? What would be noteworthily different? And that's your vision statement. And the mission, values, and vision, I always recommend those need to be short enough to at least be printed on placards hung in your board chambers. Some agencies even print them on business cards. Some are short enough where employees and board members can memorize them, because those are the North Stars for the organization that drive you ahead. And then we get to the nuts and bolts of strategic planning that I talked about before. What are the district's goals over the planning horizon? In this case, I think we'd be looking at roughly an 8-year planning horizon, but that's up to board consideration and direction. Then once you've adopted those 3 to 5 goal statements that are going to drive you towards your vision, what are the 3 to 5 strategies that are most important to further the district towards each of those goals. And only the board can make these decisions. Staff can provide input. Staff will be responsible for implementing the board's direction. So it's important for staff to hear the nuance of the board discussion and discourse, but it's really taking this to the board for action and direction. And then every year, it's looking at your strategic plan. What are your goals? What are your strategies? Getting an update from staff on what's been done, and then adjusting the priorities for the next 1 to 2 year window to keep driving ahead the long-term vision of the district. So that's what a strategic plan typically consists of. Some organizations will call strategies goals, or goals strategies, or they'll use objectives, but it's the same fundamental concept that most strategic plans have, is this tiering of direction to get more and more granular and time specific so you can have measurable accountability for achieving the strategic plan. So the process I've used since I've become a consultant back in 2015, working with special districts, utilities, large municipalities, small municipalities in both Northern and Southern California, is again a fairly standard strategic planning process. First and foremost is a SWOT analysis, getting our arms around the data of the district to understand what the district's strengths and weaknesses are. And that's kind of the current state. And then it's opportunities and threats when you look ahead, because you need to do that environmental scan to then come back and have a meaningful discussion on what needs to be the goals and strategies for the future. I have in phase one, as the general manager referenced, I started the SWOT analysis work because it's often a more staff-intensive one. There is a clear role for the council to play because you bring in the public concerns and sentiment. What do the public think is the district's strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats? Where do they want you to lead the district for the future? So I'd say we're about 2 analysis before we had the board transitions. The next step, and it's the next step we launch to when we choose to go forward, which will be the last discussion item, is board member interviews. Some of you were on the board when I facilitated in the recruitment of your human resources manager, Haiti. And I did interviews with each of you one-on-one then. It would be much the same, just so you know how that process works. I send you the interview questions in advance, so you have time to consider them when you're driving, walking, doing other work, showering, or sit down and write out answers, whatever your personal preference. But I just find having those questions in advance lets us have a much more robust one-on-one discussion. And then what I'm doing is recording each board member's answers under each question, not recording audio, recording by keyboarding. And then when I'm preparing for your strategic planning retreat, which is the next session, I'm identifying themes and issues that 2 or more board members raised. And then that's what gets rolled up and brought back to you as a starting point. And the whole reason I've used this process for 5 years is it preserves the board's time. You know, I think our elected boards are our most precious resource. It's the best way to make efficient use of your time, in that we identify the issues where there's alignment, and those we probably don't need to spend as much time on. And we identify the issues where there's not alignment, that I can then tee up and structure exercises, tools, and other facilitated techniques to have the council provide the direction on those issues. And during the facilitated board retreat, you would celebrate accomplishments of the last year. You'd provide input on the current drafts of the mission, vision, and values that would be prepared after my interviews with you. But most of the retreat is not on that, some would say, fuzzier language. I think it's absolutely hard to do wordsmithing in a public forum. That's not an efficient use typically of elected officials' time. We really like to keep most of the board retreat focused on what are the top goals, what are the top strategies, and once we have those nailed down, what are the must-do priorities for your staff for the next 1 to 2 years so they can go develop the budgets and work plans to achieve your direction. And that would be the product out of the facilitated board retreat. It comes back to the board for a formal public review in a duly noticed meeting where you would review the draft strategic plan and have an opportunity to change it as you deem appropriate. And then staff develops the implementation action plan using a template we've developed that provides very granular accountability and performance targets on a quarterly basis over a 2-year window so that the strategic plan doesn't become a fuzzy document sitting on a shelf, but it's something that's brought back to you every year so you can review progress to date and provide more clear direction on the progress going forward. So that's the recommended process. We're kind of up here between the first 2 steps. I will have to refresh some of the SWOT analysis with some of your staff, and then we'll come to you with the preliminary results of that to get your input and feedback. And then all of that would be prepping for the board retreat, which is the probably the most important step in this process, is where the board gets to hear all the data together and start setting goals and strategies and providing a clear direction to the staff for where you want the district to go in 5 years. Having done this for dozens of agencies, like I've said, both special districts, utilities, and municipalities, I've just learned some key ingredients for success. The advanced preparation is absolutely the main reason I'm with you tonight, because I'd like to see what schedule you want to be on going forward so I can have the advanced preparation done so we're making best use of your time. Second is using those interviews to identify what are really the key issues that we need clarity from the board on. The third one is sometimes controversial. We are a democracy. You're a representative elected board. All of your votes don't have to be unanimous. Consensus isn't the name of game. It's majority rules. However, your past behaviors, even like on the issue you considered earlier just prior to this, as well as what I've seen with many issues, the strategic plan is something that ideally should be by consensus or nearly so, because as I mentioned earlier, having that commonality of direction just lets your staff move faster and further to get done what you want done. And consensus is the best way to get that. It does mean board members saying, well, I don't care so much about that issue. I care really about this one. But if you're willing to let my issue be one of the top 5, I'm willing to let yours be one of the top 5. And that's how board members in this public process can reach consensus on what's best for the district looking ahead 8 to 10 years. Providing clear and measurable outcomes is what prevents a strategic plan from being a meaningless document. And that's part of that implementation action plan where we have timelines by quarter of what's going to be focused on. Then the annual review with the board is making sure staff's focusing on the board's priorities. And then all of this and the whole process, as I've mentioned, is based on trying to efficiently use the board's time. So with that, that's kind of my strategic planning 101 for the public and for all of us to be using the same language. What I'd like to do, Mr. Chair, is just first answer any questions board members have. And the real question I think staff and I are looking for direction from the board is the schedule moving ahead. We are entering the summer months, which is often hard to schedule contemplative strategic planning processes because of travel and vacation constraints. Then I do know the district's facing an election for at least some seats in the fall. And so this board would have to make the judgment, do you kind of want to get the strategic plan done so that direction set? So if there are new board members coming on next January, they kind of have a roadmap to work on? Or do you want to delay the strategic planning process so that the new board members, if there are any, are getting their fingerprints on the strategic plan? And that becomes kind of the crucial question for the board tonight. Should we plan to move this work forward in August, September, or should we wait till December, January, maybe even February? And that's kind of the question. And whatever you direct is, of course, what your staff and I will do on your behalf. So,
Yeah,
Chair, hopefully I didn't take too much time.
No, great presentation, Greg. I don't usually weigh in first, but I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna be unified and try to get this thing as expeditiously as possible. You know, we have a good thing going here, and I don't think we need any. You know, the band is working. So with that being said, I would like to get something done in the next few months if possible. I know everybody has summer schedules. Is it possible? I think Ricky, Larson, we were looking a day and a half tops, right?
For the board retreat, yes.
Half a day,
About a day and a half.
Day and a half. And
A
then,
day and a half would be ideal.
Okay. And then because the facility in our district, right, that we could have this is the Hilton Garden Inn.
Yes.
Okay. So we wouldn't have to travel far.
In the district.
In the district. That's right. Okay. So does anybody have any weekendish, Friday, Saturday, probably starting a Friday evening and then a Saturday full day type of expectation, something like that?
Probably Friday half a day to Saturday full day.
Yes.
Or Saturday. I don't want to go into a Sunday, but
yeah.
So
Yeah.
partial Friday and a complete Saturday.
And you know, it'd be great if it was with the end. What is this? April?
Yeah.
So April, we got May, June, July. In the next 90 days. I think Dr. Taylor, were you saying
Mr.
something?
Chair, if I can offer,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I might offer up, I am taking my family to Washington, D.C. for 3 weeks in June. So I'm sorry I'm in the struggle there. I had plenty of time available until that trip. But if we could plan the board retreat for July, I think that would be optimal, if your schedules permit.
How?
Because there's work to be done before then.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Mr. President, just with what I do at the hospital and the fact that my academic year is about to come to an end, really June, July, August is like terrible months for me, just with all the work that's going on. I mean, I could probably maybe either the last 2 weekends in May look plausible for me if that might work for you guys.
That
might be too soon. Because my problem is
Yeah,
June. Is
I don't
like
think
my
we'd get the prep work
busiest
done.
month of the year.
Mr. President, if I was thinking if we use July to do the prep, maybe the second half of August before Labor Day could be the retreat, and then we bring the report back to you in September for your final action. And it gets it done before kind of we're in political season.
Well,
Does that work for you, Mr. President?
We don't talk about politics in this room. We don't talk about it.
Okay.
What if,
Okay.
what if we
Got
just we get back to him so we can coordinate?
I think.
But the sooner the better. I'm not pushing
Yeah,
it to
but-
next year.
Okay. Yeah. But there is some truth to the fluctuations as far as the year, and post Labor Day, kids are back in school, and that time period is usually you know, you've already kind of set certain stuff in motion, and July, really June, but July, we've just adopted a fresh budget at some level because the prep work would have already started. The executive team would have some perspective on what we want to do as we go to adopt that budget in July. And then what we will be doing in July is just kind of formalizing and putting the wheels on what we're doing. But we have some information related to the budget we'll be adopting by June 30th. So, you know, and like I said, after Labor Day, it's a different world. Kids are back in school. It's a different world.
Not having the schedule, but I think that we had already scheduled a trip for DC in July. So I'm just saying for availability, if you want to do it sooner, then it would be probably just at the end of July.
Yes. What are the dates for the DC?
The week of July 12th.
The week of July 12th. So the
second half of July would be it.
second half of July. So
If I could propose possibly the 29th and 30th, that Friday
let me
of July.
I'll be out of town.
okay. What about the week prior?
Moving earlier a week,
What about the week?
the 22nd and 23rd,
The 22nd.
22nd and 23rd.
I would have to look because the family is looking for a vacation probably around then. So I got to check dates and get back to you. But it's not a good month.
Okay.
There is one weekend before your trip to DC, the 8th and 9th.
There is the 8th and 9th.
July 4th is that Monday, and I could make the 8th and 9th work.
Could the 8th and 9th work?
I have a call with the state that on the 8th that I can't get out of. It's for a grant that I'm on.
Okay, but what
Is
about
that in the
like
morning or
5
afternoon?
o'clock? 5 o'clock that day? Could you make it at 5?
It might be close.
Okay.
Because it's a late afternoon call.
Okay, I understand. What about you? Could you make it the 8th? All right. We won't get to any heavy stuff until a little later in the afternoon. Is July 8th open? Secretary Mason, do we have anything pending on the board's calendar right now, whether Director of Government Relations and External Affairs? Are there anything upcoming with our legislative or community-based calendar? Okay, all right. Is there anything that you have?
Good evening. I don't have anything in front of me at the moment, but
Okay.
if anything, I'll let the board know.
Okay, Mr. Mambahal.
Yeah, I don't see anything on my calendar as well for
Okay.
that.
Okay, Mr. Banju. Okay, all right. Linda, you okay over there? You can make it. All right, Haiti, you can make it. All right, John. All right. Who else we gotta?
I have a question, actually, logistically.
You don't have to make.
Okay, so it's July 12th is the flight, so we would fly the day before the 11th?
Yes, we could. It's
Asking.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm listening.
So I'm just thinking, is it like too many activities going on back to back? If not, okay, so we're open still.
We're open. We'll be good. It'll be wonderful.
So I will send out, Mr. President, with your permission, I'll send it through staff to share with you just kind of a schedule confirmation with the primary focus being that second weekend in July. And it sounds like the backup, if we had to move it later, would be the first weekend of August, the 5th and 6th.
Okay.
Because it looked like the other July weekends were gone. So just so we can get this locked down pretty quickly. Because the 8th and 9th will be a scramble. I have to interview each of you before then, and I have to finish the SWOT analysis before then. So
Okay.
good, great, thank you. That's just what I needed. Thank you, board members, for being so committed to moving forward with this, and I look forward to working with you again.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm available too, Channing.
Oh, wait. Ah, Mike. Mike.
Director Mike Taylor, you should have been here.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should have been here.
it's all right.
I apologize. I apologize for that. I apologize for that.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
He's the retiree on the board, so of course he's.
Yes.
Well, they have shuffleboard and bingo and
There you go. Picking on the old guy.
late night dominoes.
No, there's a crime for it's called senior abuse, I think.
Okay, so we got that done. We got work ahead of us. I know it's taken a lot with the strategic plan, but I think it's important. We have been due for a strategic plan. I think we're a few years out, and I think it's important too that we all kind of put a new print. Just so everybody knows, I am going to push for everybody to be paperless. That's right.
Not gonna happen.
Reduction, green and paperless. Don't worry, not the Green New Deal, but green and paperless. So nonetheless, moving on to reports, board members.
Mr. President, I just want to, since no one has, I just want to acknowledge staff and all the wonderful work that everybody did this Monday for the Special Districts Association dinner that we had at the Hilton Garden Inn. I think we had an excellent turnout, and it was a lot of fun. So I just want to commend staff for all their work putting that together. It's nice to not only have these again in person, but to be able to host one again. So just want to thank staff and wish everybody a good night.
All right. Any other comments?
President Channing, I also want to say, this is Earth Week.
Yes.
So I want to say thank you for all the hard work that all the videos that we've been placing on, on social media. They're great. They're very informative. So I just want to do a shout out and acknowledgement of the team that's been working on that, and the state of the district video. That I'm sure that was a lot of work, and I just want to say thank you for putting that together.
After touring the Romer facility, I just want to say hats off to all the workers here, and just looking at all the process that it takes to get sustainable water to us. And there's so much behind that knob and that faucet that the world just doesn't know about, but I'm excited to be sharing it with them. So thank you guys for the opportunity and for the tour.
Okay, Dr. Taylor.
Yeah, I echo everything that everybody said tonight, and everybody's doing a great job at the facility and also at our district. Thank you.
Yep, and I want to thank. I know this week and a half has been a real big sprint for our staff, not only with the special district event, which went off without a hitch, and I really appreciate staff's turnout, which was really good. I think it definitely showed that our agency is together and unified. And I want to thank the general manager and the assistant general manager, Jose and Lynn. You were there, Lynn, were you there? No, you weren't there. And I want to thank Haiti, and I want to thank Ms. Mesa, who was there, and all the board members. And that's all who I want to thank. I want to thank Nasim and the public affairs crew too. And then I also, this week with the state of the district, that came off well. It was really well planned and orchestrated. And I thought it was good that it demonstrated all of the board members' strengths and their interest areas. We hadn't had a video or any communication like that, at least since I've been here. And so it was good to have us all together kind of speaking in one accord. And we have some really good stuff brewing now. Some great phone calls that we've had, some great work coming up. We did a great job this last year in DC. I know we have some stuff coming up in Sacramento, and just acknowledging the team's work and effort to make sure that everything is well thought out, that it is well executed, and that the follow-up is there. So I really appreciate that. I also want to just thank the board members for the work that they're doing in making our district a better place. I really appreciate it. And with that being said, I hope everyone has a great Earth Day, Earth Week. Have a safe and happy evening and weekend with your families. With that being said, I close my comments. Moving on to the general manager.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board and public staff. Just a quick little update. I sent an email around yesterday just informing the board that we had a leak. Staff took care of that very quickly, and it's now behind us. It's been fixed and repaired, so thank them for addressing that in a very quick and expedient way. One update that we have tonight is from Mr. Faruqi with the Earth Day presentation, which is Earth Week. So, Nasim, take it away.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, board members, and members of the public that are watching from home. My name is Nasim Faruqi. I'm the Director of Government and Legislative Affairs, overseeing public affairs as well here at West Valley Water District. It's an exciting week, Earth Week, here at West Valley. This was definitely a new year, a new vision of how we celebrate Earth Week. Just a few years ago, we had a big Earth Day celebration. COVID hit, and in the past few months, we had conversations with our committee members of what would they like to do. And part of it was increasing community outreach, water conservation, and water education. So in that, as staff, management, we got together, created some ideas of exactly what we can do. Something creative, something different, and something fun and educational at the same time for our students and our community as well. To start off, in regards to our community outreach, we went ahead and distributed 1,200 packets to students throughout our community, 1,200 packets. And it all contained water education information, such as the wonderful world of water, an educational booklet. It had has a bunch of different water tips, talks about the water treatment process, something fun for students, for teachers to be able to continue maintaining in their classrooms and continue practicing ways to save water and teaching about the system overall. In addition, we went ahead and in the past, we always ordered books. We wanted to do something fun and creative in terms of coloring books. So we actually created our own coloring activity sheet for students, and which we will continue distributing over the next several months to students, and we'll make new ones as time goes by. This children's coloring sheet has water is life in the inside, and then on the back, it has safe, high quality, and reliable. Those are our slogans that we have here at West Valley Water District. Went ahead and distributed crayons for them, and so we don't have to necessarily rely on the schools and the students having to have the resources. Maybe if they don't have it, here at West Valley Water District, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to be able to take part in the activities. We also challenged our students. We challenged them with a pledge to conserve water every day. Use it wisely, not waste it away. I will save every drop I can every day of the week. Here is my plan. It's a bookmark. And with this teachers and as we distributed materials throughout the community, we were challenging our students. Make the pledge. And it starts at a young age, not just at, we always work on our adults and making sure that they take advantage of the rebates we have for conservation programs, but it starts with our students. So this was a fun new thing that we did for them as well. For the teachers, we gave them a highlighter. We gave them also a brand new reusable water bottle. And on the back, there's I know the board members, you guys have some there. And ladies, I apologize. But on the back, it says, did you know that by 2050, there will be more pounds of plastic in the ocean than fish? We're committed to being part of that solution, a part of the solution to that. Reduce, reuse, rethink West Valley Water District. And part of the conversations that we've been having with our superintendents in the communities that we serve is about drinking fountains and making sure that we try to reduce plastic waste and have and make sure that the community, our students, our families have confidence in the water that we treat, that it's safe, it's high quality, it's reliable. So if we can go ahead and as staff, as board members, show that yes, in fact, the water that comes out of the tap is safe to drink, it's good to drink, and take pride in what we do, we definitely will encourage our ratepayers to feel confident as well. We can go on and go to the next one. We also we provided a landscape workshop yesterday, planting the native garden. We also have a large Spanish population here at West Valley Water District. Next week, we're going to do the same class in Spanish. So yesterday we had quite a few people join. Next week, we're still working on it. We have some people signed up, but we're working on the outreach and making sure that we do everything we can to get people to conserve and save water and take part in these wonderful classes that we have. And in addition, as Director Angela Garcia did mention, we are boosting our social media program and our outreach with new videos from various departments, from customer service to our water quality department. Here at West Valley Water District, everyone's excited for the community outreach that we're doing, the videos that we're getting out to the community, and definitely trying to spread the message of how we treat water, the confidence that we should have in it, the high quality, and ensuring that if there's any questions in terms of your water quality, that we answer that as well. And next one.
Hello and welcome
Hola
back to our
y bienvenidos de
2022
nuevo a nuestra serie de conservación del Día de la Tierra. Mi nombre es Fernanda González y aquí en West Valley Water District estamos celebrando la Semana de la Tierra organizando un taller en español sobre cómo plantar y cuidar su jardín nativo el miércoles.
So that was English and Spanish. We are communicating to everyone. Oh, you want to listen to all of it? Oh, I'm sorry.
27 de abril. Si estás interesado en asistir, visite nuestra página web www.org y haga clic en registrarse para taller de jardinería. Si tienes alguna pregunta, llámenos al 909-875-1804. Espero y verte ahí.
And yeah, the other one, we go to play the other one.
My name is Jesse and I'm a water quality specialist. My job is to monitor and maintain the quality of the water that we provide for you here at West Valley Water District. You can do your part in protecting water sources such as groundwater by making small, simple changes into your daily habits, like disposing of chemicals properly, turning the water off in between washing dishes, checking for and fixing any leaks that occur inside and outside of your house. Thank you.
And one of the last items that we also did was a planter kit for all the students. Has some seeds, California drought friendly plants, and it's an activity for them to do at home with their families, and it's something that they can take part in themselves. So we're doing more. We're excited. It's a great day here, a great week at West Valley Water District, but we're not done yet. We have one more day of tomorrow's fun activities. Tomorrow, we are releasing our virtual water tour of our water facilities, of our treatment facilities. So we're definitely excited to release that tomorrow on Earth Day. So for those that are watching at home, stay tuned for tomorrow's release. It's a big day at Earth Day. So thank you very much. And that tour is led by our Chief Treatment Plant Operator, Sergio Grando. Any questions?
I don't really have questions, but I do want to say this. I want to thank Chairwoman Garcia. She's come on to the Public Affairs Committee, and has chaired it and brought in new energy, light, and perspective, which obviously can be seen by the presentations tonight. And I also want to acknowledge the staff. I know over the course of the last year, we've added additional staff to the public affairs, government relations team. And, you know, you all's work is really starting to really show. And I really can see, and I think the community can see, the level that you all are starting to take us, whether it is with your engagement with the public and engaging, more importantly, our staff in the outreach and them going out, because as good, you know, we can go up here and say stuff, but when the staff is saying in the community and engaging in the face of the organization, which they are every day, it makes a really big impact, and it says a lot about the professionalism. And so I want to give props to Mr. Faruqi and his team for what they've done over the course of the last few months. It has been some good work. It has been some good work.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, but overall, it definitely is a not just a department, but it's overall, it's an organizational effort.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with that being said, Mr. Legal Mr. General Manager, unless there's anything else, can we move on to legal
real
counsel?
quick, if I could just share some of the schools that did participate, just in case you run into any of the principals in the community or vice principals or teachers. Crestmore Elementary in Bloomington, Sycamore Hills Elementary in Fontana, High Banks Elementary in Rialto, and Trapp Elementary in Rialto as well. Those were some of the schools that had heavy participation. So just want to throw a little shout out there.
Awesome. Okay, great. Mr. Legal Counsel?
Thank you, Mr. President. The board considered one item in closed session. There's no reportable action.
Okay. All right. With that being said, obviously, as Dr. June pointed out, we will not have our May 3rd or May 3rd meeting. Well, I'm sorry, our May 5th meeting. We will likely have to have a special meeting to replace that meeting because of Aqua, and majority of the executive leadership team and the board will likely be in Sacramento. Okay, with that being said, this meeting is adjourned.